And hello again. Welcome to the 365 Retirement Podcast with Sam Liang of Rubino & Liang Wealth Partners. My name is Randy Cook, and I'm here each week with Sam as we talk through some of the concerns that you might have when it comes to planning for and moving into retirement. Sam, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic, and that's really the whole sort of backbone and the crust of this podcast, showing people how to check off all the boxes that they need to be aware of as they get closer to retirement. Or in retirement.
As people come in, sometimes they're somewhat prepared. You may have spreadsheet guy that walks in and he's been
We got a lot of spreadsheet guys.
You may have people that walk in and go, all right, I know I got to do this, Sam, but I don't know where to start. What are the things that people seem to have a handle on? And what are the things that people don't really think about that you have to bring up to say this is something we have to address?
You know, it's really across the board. I think for the most part, people in the greater Boston area, they earn a good living, they're pretty smart, and they do a good job sort of managing their retirement, right? So they've done a lot of things right. But I would say the number one thing that people, I don't want to say they swing and they miss completely, but you know, they're hitting a lot of foul balls, is taxes. They don't think about the consequences and the aftermath of what happens when they retire. And the silent partner that most of us have, which is Uncle Sam.
Right.
We drink the Kool-Aid, and most people have that 401k, and it might make up 80, 90% of their net worth. So you might have a nice number. You might have a $2 million 401k and feel pretty good about it, but 30%, maybe even sometimes more, belongs to Uncle Sam. So we have to have a tax strategy as you save for retirement. You know, maybe it's a little bit different, but also have a withdrawal tax strategy for when you need the money, and, you know, how do we deal with the taxes?
So April 15th is a time for some people to get a refund. For others of us, we're sending out a check.
Yeah.
And we think that we're going to be in a lower tax bracket in our retirement years because, hey, I don't have a job anymore. I don't have income coming in. But if you've been a good saver and you've put a lot of money in a 401k, you still have money coming in, and that money can be taxed. You literally could be at a higher tax bracket in your retirement, couldn't you?
I mean, we have some clients that are retired as a, say, police officer.
Okay.
And their pension is 80% of what their last 3 years' highest pay was. So it's pretty darn close, right? They get that, and then let's say you couple that with maybe some rental income. Maybe your spouse has Social Security. Maybe you have some investment income. And you're right where you started.
Yeah.
So it's important to sort of understand that as you go into retirement, the likelihood of you being in a lower tax bracket, this is just my opinion, but I don't think it's that high for a variety of reasons. One, you're still going to have income, right? If you have a 401k, you have required minimum distributions, you're going to need income, you're going to force to take income. So that's ordinary income. The second thing is, I think as a country, they don't have a choice but to raise taxes in the future. You know, I mean, think about our national debt. It's pretty darn high, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You can only kick the can down the road for so long. It seems like every 3 months you watch the news and they're talking about, hey, again, we're going to reach the debt ceiling. You know, Congress is on working overtime on Saturday night to figure out how to raise. Okay, we came to a conclusion. We raised it. So we're good for another 3 months. You know, how long can that last for? So at some point, you're going to have to raise taxes. I mean, if you were running a restaurant and you need to make more money, what do?
Raise prices.
You either raise prices or you cut expenses. I mean, when was the last time our government cut expenses?
Yeah.
They haven't. So they're going to raise prices, which means in the future, and this is just my opinion, but I think we're going to be faced with a higher income tax bracket.
Well, you know the old story of they catch the bank robber and they say, why do you rob banks? And he says, that's where the money is. And, you know, when Congress is raising taxes and they're looking at your 401k, that's where the money is.
I mean, just recently they did with the Secure Act, they said, you know what, we're going to raise taxes in a roundabout way. Nobody's going to really feel it on those inherited IRAs, right? Back in the day, you could leave an IRA to your son or your daughter, and they could take out required minimum distributions throughout their lifetime. Today, if you have an inherited IRA to a non-spouse, they have to deplete that account within 10 years. Why do you think they did that? So they can get the money faster. I think one strategy that people should think about doing, if you're in the accumulation phase, if you are, let's say, 60 years old and you're having to sit down with somebody and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to maximize my savings now. What can I do differently before I pull the trigger and retire 5 years from now at 65? The number one thing that I would tell people to take a look at is if you work for a company that has a 401k, almost every company has a Roth 401k option now. You should take a look at that and put in, if not all, at least a portion of your savings into a Roth 401k. It has no income limits. That's only for a Roth IRA. If you make too much money, you can still do it. And the important thing with that is when you go to retire, whatever you have in that Roth 401k, when you go to pull it out, we don't have to worry about Uncle Sam. We don't have to worry about taxes. So having some good balance is pretty important.
There's that RMD age that continues to change, and that's required minimum distribution. So it used to be 70 and a half. Now it's 73. They're going to probably move it up to 75 in the future. So that means the government is literally telling you then, here's how much your 401k and your IRAs all add up to. This is how much you owe us every year. And if you put that on top of everything else that you have, it could bump you into a higher tax bracket. And people in their 70s are finding, I'm going to write a check to the government for how much? And that's a surprise sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're doing quarterly estimates because they have RMDs and they have too much income, and they pay more taxes than they thought they were going to.
Right.
So I think it's really important. And listen, nobody has a crystal ball, Randy. You don't have one, I don't have one. So what we're saying is sort of a best guess estimate of what a true comfortable retirement should look like. But here's what I know. Having good balance is important, right? Having money in the market, having money in safe places, and having money that's tax deferred and having money that's tax free, same idea, same balance. It's really important to have a choice, I guess, as you go into retirement on where to take your money. Maybe you're in a year, maybe you have a year that you might have sold a house and have higher taxes. So maybe that year you take money out of your Roth 401k or Roth IRA.
Okay.
Maybe you have a traditional year. Maybe they lower the taxes and you want to take money from your pre-tax money.
So it's interesting that you say that, Sam, because some people, you know, as you say, many times they'll come to the retirement table and almost all of their savings is in a 401k. So they've heard of conversions and converting it over to a Roth. So they say, okay, let's get started on that and get all this money out of the tax wash and put it into a Roth. But you're saying to me that maybe have a combination of tax-deferred, after-tax money and tax-free money going into retirement might not be a bad thing.
You know, we do all of the above. We do Roth conversions on a regular basis. The problem is with that is you still have to pay the taxes, right? So when somebody says, well, I want to convert my entire 401k. Well, if it's $1 million, you probably wouldn't because you'd have to write a check to Uncle Sam in 1 year, probably for $400,000. So when you tell somebody that, hey, here's the pros and the cons, you know, generally nobody does it. But what we do is we do systematic Roth conversions. We have a software system where we can essentially just run your tax return in. And we can say, hey, look, you know, you can convert $62,850 this year without going into the next tax bracket. So we do that from time to time. But in my opinion, it's best if you can plan for that in advance. So maybe you are 2, 3, 4, 5 years from retirement. That's when you can really maximize and have a tax strategy. We see people once in a while. I just saw somebody a couple of weeks ago. They're retiring January of 2025, so about less than a year from now. And they have, if not 100%, 98% of their money in 401ks and IRAs and pre-tax money, and they want to know what to do. Well, you know, whatever I show you what to do, even if you do it, it's going to make a small difference. It's not going to make a major difference. So having some time on your hand to make some substantial changes will really help you in those retirement years.
Well, as we talk about this and you think taxes, the only thing I know about taxes is they take it out of my check and I got to write a check every April 15th. That's the only thing I really know about taxes. Why are taxes different in retirement? Well, this is a conversation that you can sit down and have with Sam and the team at Rubino and Liang Wealth Partners. And if you don't have a lot of knowledge about the tax code, that's okay. You know more than this guy we're going to hear from right now. I'm watching Judge Judy, okay? And some guy comes up and he starts talking about his tax situation. And as Judge Judy drills down, you realize This guy doesn't know a whole lot.
I'm asking you how much you reported your gross income was when you filed your tax returns in April.
They come automatically is what I'm saying. I didn't file them. They're paid for and filed automatically by the company that distributes my royalties.
So is what you're saying you didn't file tax returns in April?
I assume that they're filed automatically through this company that pays me.
Mr. Lefkowitz, when was the last time you put a stamp on tax returns that you sent to the government?
I do not know. I've never filed through that. I just assumed that it was already taken care of in that way.
You assumed wrong.
You know what happens when you assume, as they all say, right? The
IRS on line one. You know more than that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you want to know even more, give Sam and the team at Rubino and Liang Wealth Partners a call or set up a 15-minute introductory call. We've got some show notes there with some links that'll get you to our website. We'll get you to all the information that you need to know. If the one thing you haven't thought about in your retirement is taxes, let's have that conversation. Give us a look. We would love to be able to help you out. That's all we have for you today. We'll join you again next week here on the 365 Retirement Podcast. Thanks so much.
Ryan Marston and John Conley are investment advisor representatives of Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Investment financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Sam Liang is licensed in your state, please call 617-630-8787. Rubino and Liang Wealth Partners is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Rubino and Liang Insurance Agency, LLC, Massachusetts Insurance License number 1783398.